can't tell if my earrings are holiday appropriate or just a little bit judgmental. Hey makeup friends, today we're just going to do a super relaxed get ready with me using nothing but items from the drugstore. I don't have any talking points and I don't have any overarching theme to this video. It's just me playing with makeup and chatting with you as I do so. So let's get into this. As always, I want to start off by welcoming you back to my channel, or if you're new here, then hello and welcome. My name is Kara, and on my channel we like to mix beauty, brains, and the occasional F-bomb, though not in today's video, I'm happy to report. Alright, we're just going to do a get ready with me. I've got a bunch of drugstore items sitting here. Many of these items are not new to the market, but they are new to me, so I thought that I would sit down, play with them, and share my thoughts on them with you. So let's just get straight into it. Well, it's never made noise before. And now when I want to put it in the background, it decides to make noise. Like every 10 seconds, the little motor goes off. I'll see if I can ignore it, but it's already been distracting me for 4.5 minutes now. All right. It's lost its privileges. Unfortunately, it's not going to be lit. Whatever. Anyways, moving on. I normally start with my face first and then I do my eyes, but because the palette that I'm going to use has a lot of like really deeper and brighter colors in it, I'm not super familiar with the NYX formula. Don't know if there's going to be a lot of fallout, anything like that. I'm going to start with the eyes first. So I'm going to go in with the NYX Primer. Not a huge fan of this. I'll say that right out of the gate. This is the Shadow and Liner Primer. I don't know what a liner primer is. Truly mystifying on that one. But I've given this one its fair shake. I have tried it quite a few times, and I'm just not in love with it. First of all, I prefer not putting it directly in my eyeball like that. What am I doing? I'm a disaster already today. Anyways, I prefer an eyelid primer that helps to correct the discoloration that I have on my lids. This does not do that. As well, this one just, I don't know, it just becomes a little slippery. And I find that it does create, like, especially in the deeper folds of my eyes, it does create like little bald patches when I'm blending the shadows on top of it. So knowing that in advance, I am going to set it with a little bit of powder because not doing so makes the problems that much worse. So rather than using a setting powder, I'm just going to go in with this shade here and just use a little bit of that to set that primer into place. There we go. So the palette we're using comes from NYX, and this is the El Profesor palette, I think. And it's based on the TV show La Casa de Papel, Money Heist, on Netflix. I've never heard of it. I have no idea. Full disclosure, I have no recollection of ordering this. I don't even know where I bought it from. I spent the greater part of November hopped up on morphine because of my sprained back. And I have received some very questionable things in the mail. Apparently, pain medication and internet access, not a winning combination. At any rate, let's put it to the test, see how we get on with it. The color story is quite pretty. It kind of reminds me of Modern Renaissance from ABH, so let's see how it performs. Also, most of my brushes are dirty right now. Like I said, I'm a disaster. I really am. I have no excuse for myself. So I'm going to go in with this shade right here and just use that as like a transition shade. So what are we going to, oh, okay. You know what? I'll bump you guys in so you can see this a little bit better. There we go. Already I can see that it's quite pigmented, so let's get to blending and see what happens. I think what I was asking myself is, what are we going to talk about? Oh my gosh. I have not sat down to actually speak at a camera in quite some time. It feels like it might be well over a week, like maybe getting close to 2 weeks. I've been filming some declutters and some collection series, so I have no idea what order things will go up in, but either you've already seen that or you will. I've decided this year that I am not doing any sort of Vlogmas type endeavor. I just cannot make any such promises. I can't commit myself to that because it's just been so hectic and chaotic in my life, and I just can't. I spent the last few weeks just feeling like my channel was work, and it's in the 4 years that I've had my channel, it's never really felt like work. There's certainly definitely some tedious aspects to it. I mean, editing is not always the most fun. Some videos are much easier to edit than others. Some of it does become a bit of a chore, but it's a chore that I don't mind doing. I enjoy getting to the final product, so it's just a means to an end. But I've been very stressed out. Not necessarily anxious and not necessarily depressed. My mental health itself has been well controlled recently, and I'm very grateful for that, because a couple of months ago it was not. But it's just been very, very busy at work. I've had a couple emergency issues or urgent issues crop up, and those require a lot of hands-on work. They've created a couple new court dates that I wasn't expecting. If you're new and you're not aware, I'm a family lawyer by trade. That is my day job. This is my fun time usually, except when it feels like work, and then I just kind of peace out for a bit. But being off with my sprained back, trying to get caught up on that, and then these urgent issues arising, it's been hectic. I mean, ultimately it's good, I guess, because I'm busy and productive, and that's good, and that's my career, and I want to be busy at work, but oh my goodness. Anyways, let's go in with another shade. That one blended out really nicely. It is quite deep for my complexion as a transition shade, but I think overall this palette lends itself to deeper looks, so I'm not too concerned about it. I could always sheer it out with this cream color if I really need to, but we'll see how we get on with the rest of them. I definitely want to play with this shade, but I think I'm going to build up to it, so I'm going to go in with this one here and just put that into the crease. I will say these shadows are rather powdery, so definitely tapping off the excess. There's still excess, and I've hit that a few times now, but I'm quite pleased with the pigmentation at any rate. And setting that primer with powder is definitely highly recommend, because it's a disaster otherwise. Anyways, there's been that. So I was off with my back, and then just as that was finally starting to resolve and I was getting relief from it and ready to go back to work, a child in Aspen's class tested positive for COVID. So they had to shut the entire class down. So Aspen was home. So then Barry and I had to take turns going into the office. And it was just, it's been one thing after another. Nothing particularly bad, but one thing after the other. All right, that one blended out pretty well. So far, so good. Now let's go in with this super fun raspberry shade here and see what that's all about. Whew, she picks up on the brush nicely. But again, there's a ton of excess, so just be mindful of that if you do pick up this palette. That's pretty. I need to bring my mirror closer. I don't know why I'm stretching the limits of my eyesight. Here we go. Ooh, I thought I would give you an update on my mom though, because so many of you have asked and so many of you expressed concern for her after she had her most recent fall. She was in the hospital for quite some time. I'd say about 6 weeks she was there recovering. She had to have surgery. Thankfully, they were able to fix her broken hip with just some pins. She didn't require a full-on replacement, so that is very good. But the concern was, where does she go after she's released from the hospital? Because she was residing on her own in a seniors facility, but independent living. She had somebody come in to assist her with some basic daily needs, but overall she resided alone. She's still independent, and she wanted to maintain that independence. So there was some talk about a care facility and all this, and she was very adamantly opposed. Very, very adamantly opposed. And the medical staff at the hospital felt that she is capable of making those decisions for herself, so they were going to release her back to reside on her own, which I was not a fan of, because this was her 4th fall in a 12-month span, and this time she broke her hip, unfortunately. And so she is now residing with her brother and her sister-in-law. And I think that's so wonderful that they were willing to open their home up to her. They assisted in getting her moved, because I couldn't even get dressed on my own with my back the way it was, let alone pack up boxes and load and unload and all that. I just physically could not do it. And so I'm very relieved on that front. I'm still a little trepidatious, if you will. My mother has a strong personality. She likes what she likes. She dislikes what she dislikes. That's the extent of what I'll say. So I'm very, very hopeful that this living arrangement is successful. But I wouldn't necessarily be surprised if ultimately it wasn't. We'll put it that way. This pink shade is beautiful. Beautiful. But now it's time to deepen stuff up. So I'm going to leave the lower lash line for now, but I am going to deepen up the outer corner with this shade here in the corner. And I already feel like I'm kind of leaving myself without much more to talk about, because I just don't know what else to say. My life has really revolved around work. So why don't I just go off on a little tangent here. This video might be very long, and it ultimately might not make much sense. It's not going to be particularly coherent. I haven't sat down to think about talking points. Do you expect that from me at this point, though? Is that a me problem or a you problem? It's definitely a me problem. Anyways, I am going to go off on my little annual Christmas tangent for separated parents. So if you're not separated, don't worry about it. But if you are, here's my advice. Re-Christmas. Do what you can to figure out your parenting schedule as soon as possible. Do not leave it until the 20th of December. Certainly do not leave it until the 24th. You deserve more, and your kids deserve more. They do not care where they're eating dinner. I assure you, they don't. They are going to remember how they felt around the holidays, and probably more importantly, they're going to remember how you felt around the holidays. If their parents are fighting with each other, if their parents are racing off to court for last-minute Christmas access motions, if they're spending hundreds or thousands of dollars on legal fees to do that, and everybody's stressed and tense, and I think I just said stress and tense, stressed and tense, and angry and bitter and resentful, your kids are going to feel that. That's not the memory you want to make for them. So that's not to say you necessarily have to just roll over and do whatever the other parent wants. But there's room for compromise. There really is. It's Christmas. It comes every year. It's not a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You guys can figure it out. I have faith. Alternate it back and forth, or commit to creating new traditions. The kids are not necessarily set on December 25th as being the one and only Christmas. They are kids. If you woke them up on August 13th and said, Santa brought you presents, they're not going to be upset by that. They might have some follow-up questions, but they're not going to be upset about that. So if they establish a tradition where they have 2 full days of Christmas celebrations with their parents, and their parents are not at each other's throats or making the kids feel guilty about enjoying their time at the other parent's house, that's the gift that keeps on giving. It truly, truly is. And all it costs is a little bit of compromise, a little bit of setting aside wanting or needing to control the situation. Compromise just sets a fantastic example for your kids, saves a ton of legal fees, and just creates peace around the holiday. And that is what I truly wish for everybody. I truly do. Every year, I've been doing family law for 14 years, and every year this issue comes up. Every year. And every year I feel so sorry for the children that are involved in this. That is my unsolicited recommendation, not to be construed as legal advice, because I am not your lawyer. I just am a lawyer. All right. I think that's about as even as it's going to get. So what I'm going to do is just take a bit of micellar water on a cotton pad and just clean this line up. And then we will go on to the face products. Okay, for primer, I have another NYX product, and this is the Angel Veil. Not a new product by any stretch, but my first time with it. My first time purchasing it, I should say. I have worn this a couple of times. I am still on the fence as to how I feel about it. It has that like silicone kind of slippery feel to it, which I'm not a fan of. It just kind of sets my teeth on edge, to be honest. Let me just see. I think the ingredients are on here. Silica dimethylsilate, dimethicone, and then like just a ton of stuff that I have no idea how to pronounce. Plus titanium dioxide and zinc oxide, which I guess would explain why it's so bright white. But we will blend that out. I just don't really enjoy the sensation of it. I prefer using a brush to blend it out because I just don't like that. Like I can even still feel it on my fingers, and I just don't like that feeling. It's just a tactile thing for me. It's like the feeling of chenille. I don't like the way that feels. I don't know what it is. It just, I don't know. It sets my teeth on edge. And this one also is just like pilling across my skin. It's just not, like, look at that. It's not blending in. Like, it's not sinking into my skin. It's just sitting on top. And it's not as noticeable when I look dead on in my mirror, but it looks in the viewfinder like there's a bit of like a white cast to the skin. And so I'm just not a huge fan. Suffice it to say. What I am a huge fan of, though, is this guy. This is the Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation from Essence, and I have it in the shade 030 Neutral Ivory. I really, really like this. I just find that this has like a really pretty finish on the skin. It lasts so well throughout the day. I'd say it's like a light, buildable to medium, on the softer side of medium coverage. It's not particularly mattifying. It's not particularly glowy. It just does what I want it to do, which is even my complexion and wear well throughout the day. It's really, really nice. And I think it's like $8 Canadian, maybe $9. You really can't go wrong. Also, shout out to my online shade matching abilities. I'm impressed by that. So there it is blended out, and it just looks like my skin, but nicer. It just evens things a little bit. Helps to take away some of that redness around my nose, and yet it just looks like skin. Like it's not bouncing the light off, but nor is it like a flat matte. It's just a very natural foundation. It's not super sticky on the skin. I really, really like this. It's an excellent drugstore option. So again, that's the Pretty Natural from Essence. But now we need more coverage under the eyes. So for that, I'm going to use this one here from Covergirl. This is the Trublend Undercover Concealer in, what is the shade? Golden Ivory L300. Historically, I've not gotten along with Covergirl. Just for whatever reason, we just don't see eye to eye. But this product I actually do enjoy. I'm not going to go so far as to say it's like my favorite concealer of all time. It certainly isn't. But it's not a bad option. It really does give good coverage. It lasts reasonably well throughout the day. It's not as good as, say, the Tarte Creaseless Concealer or the Lancome Teint Idole Concealer, but it's not bad. So, need to blend that out. I brought a brush out specific for this, and now I can't find it. There it is, sitting right in front of me. Okay. So, what else is going on? Can I brag about my kids for a moment? Can I do that? I got their first term report cards. I'm so stinking proud of those little children. Oh my goodness. So Aspen she's a very smart girl. Like, she just comes by that naturally. She basically taught herself to read as I think she was 2 or 3 when she started reading. She's very logical. She's she's just a little sponge for information. She loves it, and once it's in the head, it's locked in there. And so, of course, her report card reflects that. But more importantly to me, her report card also reflects how empathetic and caring and helpful she is. And they were talking about her leadership skills and how she includes even the kids that come to the class as part of their own individual education plan. These are special education kids. For whatever reason, they come to her class for some portion of the week. I don't know why, but there it is. And the teacher was saying, she will seek them out. She will assist them. She always makes them feel welcome to the class. I'm just so proud of her. She's 9 years old, and she shows more inclusion than a lot of adults do. And that's the kind of stuff that you can't teach, and I'm just so proud of that. Okay, so as we can see, concealer, very effective. The coverage is excellent. I like that. I know it will crease if I don't set it, so I'm going to go ahead and set it. I don't have a drugstore powder, so I'm just going to use my RCMA setting powder because it's the least expensive option that I have. So let's just go ahead and do that. And then little Mr. Bennett, who started JK this year, and I can't remember if I shared his first day of school picture, but if not, he was just unsure about starting school. We'll put it that way. He was very committed to wanting to continue attending his regular daycare, but when we picked him up at the end of the first day, he was all smiles. He's like, I had a great day. I love being a JK. I love you. You're so cute. But his report card as well was talking about how he's learning to share, and he's doing a great job, and he is very friendly to his other classmates, and he loves to pretend to be a dinosaur and teach kids about dinosaurs. Just they have their own little worlds that I only get to see little glimpses of now, and it's bittersweet. It's amazing on the one hand, and then on the other you're just kind of but you were just stay little forever, please. But they can't, and they're not supposed to. So I'm just very proud of them. Okay, bronzer. This one here from Essence. This is the Sun Club Matte Bronzing Powder. It says lighter skin on it, and on the back it says 01 Natural. and it is definitely designed for lighter skin. I feel like I qualify because I am fairly fair, but this one is very light. So if you are super fair, you might get along with this one. So there is like something trapped. There it is. I can see it. It's a cat hair. Awesome. So I have loaded up my brush, and you can see it. It shows up, but that's about as deep as I'm going to be able to get it on my skin. There. And that is likely only because this brush, not clean. It's being used for other bronzers. So if you are in the market for a bronzer, but you really want it to be on the subtle side, this is one to check out. I find even with my complexion, and I'm not fair, I'm light, but sometimes finding a bronzer that's light enough for me that doesn't pull like super orange is difficult. So I can only imagine the challenges that people face that have even lighter skin. So wanted to recommend that one. And now, oh crap, dang it. I was going to use a cream blush, and then I put all the powder products on because dolt. Let's bust out Luminoso. This is the blush that will never end. Never. I've had it for years, like literally years, and it is never going to run out. Ever. So let's go ahead and apply that. I've actually seen this blush in like a little mini size at Walmart. That is where I would put my money, because this thing, there's so much product in this pan, and it is a very pretty blush. Like, it's got a little bit of a glow to it, but nothing super obvious. It just like warms up the cheeks. There. Okay, highlighter. I've got one from Catrice, and this is the More Than Glow highlighter in Beyond Golden Glow. I'm actually applying it with a Wet n Wild brush, the P75. So, let's see. Ooh, have I told you guys that I have a surgery date? I don't know if I told you that or not. I will be undergoing my breast reduction and excess skin removal in February, mid-February. So I'm very excited and very nervous. Like, that just makes it that much more real. And I am a little nervous about the recovery, I'm not gonna lie. So I have the feeling that recovering from the breast reduction is gonna be difficult enough as it is, but then with the excess skin removal, like basically you can't even stand upright for a few days after it just because of the way the stitches are and all that. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna sleep, but I guess that's where pain meds come in. The look is coming together. I'm quite happy about that. Now, I have a finishing powder to use as well. In the past, I've really not used finishing powders all that much, but I have like entered the world of them. There's no going back. I quite enjoy how it just sort of blends all the powders together and just makes everything look a little bit softer and seamless. Love it. So this one is from NYX, and this is the High Glass Finishing Powder. And I'm going to use a ridiculously expensive brush to apply it, but this one's the, I don't even know what it's called. It's from Dior, but I love this for finishing powders because it's just so soft and it doesn't pick up too much product either. So let's see. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but even up here, you can kind of see where it's just like, there's the highlighter. Here, it's like, there's the highlighter. When I use the finishing powder, I just lightly blend all the edges of those powders together, and you can see it just diffuses everything. There's still a highlight there, but it's softer and it's not as like harsh of a line, and I really like that. I feel like it just makes it look more like, this is my skin, this is my makeup, this is my skin. You know what I mean? Like, it's just a nice little step to just make it as seamless as possible. I don't use very much, and so it doesn't like make it look powdery or cakey or anything like that. It just blends all the edges of where those color products all meet. And it's a step that I do every time now because I think it just perfects the base makeup. So there we go with that one. Now we've got the eyes mostly done. I'm going to go ahead and set this, and then we will go on to finish the eyes. So for setting spray, I'm going to use this one here from Essence. This is the Hello Good Stuff 3-in-1 Face Mist. Hydrate, fix, and refresh with watermelon extract, and it says it has 90% natural ingredients. There are no microplastic particles, no mineral oils, no parabens, no silicones added. I will say, if you like the smell of watermelon, you are going to like this. If you don't, stay clear. It's very heavily fragranced. Let's do brows. I almost always do my brows off camera because it's just super boring, but we'll get through it in like no time. So this is the Wow Brow from e.l.f. and it's probably like dark brown. Yeah, deep brown is the shade. And just little tiny wand like so. I don't do fancy stuff. Like I don't do the brushing them this way and the lining and the flicks and I don't do any of that. So this is my natural brow. I don't really need to do anything with them, so I don't. Like, I gotta pick my battles and brows are not gonna be it. But I do like them to be a little bit more uniform in terms of their direction, first of all. But also there are some areas that are a little bit more sparse than the rest. But overall, I feel pretty lucky in the brow category. Son of a gun. I'll let that dry and then I'll fix it, no worries. I'll clean that little jab up later. But let's go back to the palette and finish up underneath the eyes. Sure. Let's see. I'm going to go in with this shade here. Normally I'd go in with the deeper shade just to make everything more uniform, but I kind of just want to play with the colors. And also keep it just a little bit lighter under the eyes than it is on top. So let's see what this one brings to the table. I'm not good at switching up my brushes. So of course this had the leftover from the deep shade. Oh, you know what? Who cares? Who cares, right? The only problem with using the wipe to clean out is that it does create a really sharp line, but I don't always want that sharp of a line. So I'm just going to bring this blend up a little bit higher, just so that everything is tied together. And I want to soften that out a little bit, so I'm going to blend it out with this shade up here, if only just to use as many of the shades in here as possible, frankly. Oh, it does pick, excuse me, wow, it picks up so much product. Now, that should be dry. So I'm just going to use a clean spoolie and just correct that. There we go. No harm, no foul. Much easier than trying to clean stuff up when it's wet. Same with mascara. Just let it dry and then it just flicks off. Okay, there is one shimmery shadow in here. I don't really want to use that one. It's a really deep color, and there's already so much darkness going on that I'm going to go in with this shade here. And this is, it's like a little bit of a duochromatic, subtly kind of pinky peach. Or maybe it's just more like an iridescent pink. I don't know. It's got like a satin finish to it, so we're just going to put that on the inner portion of the lids. The flat shader brush, and we'll just see how she goes. Oh, it layers over that pink really nice. Ooh. If you're ever in like a rut with a palette, try layering the shadows and see what happens. Because that just created its own like seamless blend just by blending on top of the pink. That's really pretty. I like that. Ooh, I like that a lot. Nice. I like that. I'm happy. Okay. Inner corner, I'm going to go in with this cream matte shade here. It has like a little bit of micro glitter in it, but I don't think it's going to necessarily pick that up. My stomach is gurgling. There are the shadows, all of them, aside from that one shimmer shadow, on the papers. So, liner and mascara. I have a liner here, also from NYX. It's a brown liner, so I'm not convinced it's going to work really well with this eyeshadow palette, but we'll give her a go and see what happens. This is the Epic Ink liner in brown. And I will say that the liner is actually quite nice. It holds up pretty well throughout the day without like a lot of fading. It does fade a bit, particularly if I do like winged liner. This one isn't really showing up all that well with these shadows, but I'm committed to it. I'm not gonna bother with winged liner today though. Already got an, oh my god, I hope you can't hear my stomach. It is just gurgling like mad. Anyways, there's enough deepness out here that I don't really feel I need to add the wing, so we're just gonna let it go. It also just makes my life easier, frankly, so here we are. But if you're newer to the liner game, or transitioning from using like predominantly pencil liners into liquid liner, but you're a little intimidated by it, try brown. Brown is just softer, it's less harsh than black, and it's just less jarring, so it's a good gateway liner color. Mascara Essence. This is the Lash Princess False Lash Effect mascara, the minty colored one. And there we go. I know people talked about this mascara all the time a few years ago. I frankly think the hype is worth it. I like this mascara. It doesn't like clump everything together. I don't have issues with it like flaking all over the place. And it does just add some nice volume to the lashes, does help to lift them up. And the price point, again, just can't be beat. I think it's $3 or $4 Canadian. Like, come on, it's so good. All right, so eyes and face are done. We've got lips to go on to. So I have a lip pencil here from Milani. This is the Understatement Lip Liner in some undisclosed shade. Nope, there it is. Cafe au lait, number 160. So this might ultimately be a little bit too brown for the lipstick I have, but we'll make it work. It's fine. So there, I have to say, I do like this lip pencil. It's not dry on the lips. It doesn't tug as you're applying it. It's very nice and smooth. Love that it's fully retractable. Just a really good option for a lip pencil from the drugstore. And then the lipstick that I have to go along with it is also from Milani, and this one is in the shade 410 Pleasure. Here's what she looks like. Oh, the lip pencil actually goes really well with it. Yay! I really like these lipsticks as well. They are very creamy on the lips, very pigmented, so you're not dealing with like the lipstick just sort of moving around and having little bald splotches everywhere. It's quite nice. Matte finish, but not drying on the lips, and does have good wear time. Not the longest that I've experienced, but good nonetheless, while feeling more like a cream lipstick. So love that. Anyways, there we have it. There's my face. Okay. All right, there we go. There is the completed look. So what I wanted to do before we finish up today is just share with you like the highs and the lows of the product, just a nice little summary. Items that I think you can find better options for. The NYX Angel Veil Primer. It's a personal thing. I don't like that silicone feel. I don't like that it just kind of moves across my skin and doesn't really sink into it. This is just not the primer for me. And then likewise here, the eyeshadow primer from NYX. you can work with it. It's not a bad product in that sense, but I just think that there are other options out there that work better for what I'm looking for, particularly hiding the discoloration that I have on my lids. And this one is just a little bit of a liability. I find that I absolutely have to set it with powder or else it's just a hot mess and things don't blend well on top of it. So I definitely think there's better options to find than these two. But in terms of like the cream of the crop products for today, like I said, this bronzer here, particularly if you are fairer complected, it just blends out really nicely. It does show up, but it's not super intense on the skin. I really think that this is a great option. And then as well, the Essence foundation. So again, that's the Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation. It just perfects the skin, but it doesn't look like makeup. It sinks in nicely, and like I said, it does wear beautifully throughout the day as well. So those are the top two and the bottom two from what I showed you today. But with all of that said, I'm going to wrap the video up here. If you enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up. Please remember to subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.